your internet. My name's Marty. Today I just really want to discuss a topic. There's lots of other topics out there as well about bikes and things, and there's lots of debates, whether you should have hard panniers, soft panniers, what's the class of a bike, is the T7 in the same class as the Ducati X, it's all mid-weight apparently. Should you be taking these bikes off-road when they're all weigh about 200 kilos versus what a 150 kilo bike? But there's always debates on various topics. But one thing I think most people agree with is that you should carry some basic essentials on you every time you go out on a bike. So I own the Desert X. This is the tools that they provide you. It sits under the front seat of your bike. Yeah, Phillips flathead, couple of hexes. Have a look at your bike and work out how much maintenance you can do on it, just those three items. Yes, you can do some, but not a huge amount. So what do I now carry on my bike? These are the tools to replace the three little tools from under the seat. Basic stuff there, don't really need to go through it. You got zip ties, you've got torque wrenches, various tapes, various attachments, chain lubes, totally amazing wrench. Medical stuff, basic. In all reality, that's not going to do much more than if you just get a bruise or a cut, a small cut, but something is better than nothing. This is Storm. Hello Storm, say hello to Storm. And over here we have battery operated pump, puncture repair kit, only suitable obviously for a tubeless tyre, and that's what's been run on the Ducati X, and a couple of rock straps or stretchies, etc. Yeah, pretty useful. And that's Loctite, if you don't know what that is. And the bigger question is, okay, so we've gone from three little items to something significantly larger. How do you effectively carry that? Because this is probably just basics. So these are what I think are the more common sort of options you have for carrying your tools. Obviously you've got your top box. The only thing you got to remember about using top boxes is that they should only be taking about 10 kilos, and if you're going on a holiday, that's probably your clothes and toiletries and stuff like that. So yeah, it's possible, but maybe that will create some other issues. You've got a hard case kind of concept, like the Pelican cases, etc. This is not the box I'm using on the bike. It's just an example of a hard case. You've got a very much a sort of a waterproof bag. This one has a backpack with it, but something you can actually put your tools in because you want them to be waterproof, and you roll it up and you're strapping it down to your bike with rock straps or something. You can shove them in your tank bag, that would fit everything, but really that's going to sit on your tank, and having about 3.5-4 kilos sitting on your tank might create a few issues or not. I wouldn't prefer it. I used to put my electronics in something like that. The other scenario is, of course, and the most obvious scenario is that you fire them into a backpack. Now the backpack, even though it's the most obvious option, it can certainly take the weight, has the room, it's convenient, you can take it on and off, but I think the bigger disadvantage with that is you think about all those tools that we had, they'll be creating a little clump around about here somewhere because you want it low. If you come off on the side of your bike, maybe not an issue because you're going to slide on your side and maybe roll. But you imagine high siding with a clump of metal right between you and what you hit, which I'm guessing you might be hitting at 2, 3, 4 G's. Has the potential to crack your ribs from the back or your back. So I don't think it's actually the safest option. This one we kind of discussed, it just zips on, useful, but do you really want that weight sitting on your tank? This one, yep, good option. You can strap it with your rock straps or something to the bike, but you kind of think about it, if it's there permanently and you're parking up and you're going off to a cafe or going to see a movie and your bike's out, I just can't do it. I just think someone's going to rip that off. Of course you can pick up and carry it, but it's 3.5, 4 kilos. It's possible, but I think there's that question about security in my mind. We've already mentioned the top box, definitely a good option, but you are putting a lot of weight in it by putting your tools in there. And then we come to the cases, which I already understand that if you're riding a Kawasaki Z900, you're not going to want something like that strapped to it. You're probably not even going to want something like that strapped to it. And so there's obviously a use case where it's practical to utilize something like that. It definitely, I'm guessing, suits more the off-road bikes, but on the Ducati X there is the perfect place to put a hard case and strap it on, and that's under the back seat. So the option I chose was the hard box. It was by ToolPRO, SuperCheap Auto. It's the same size as the Pelican 1300, within half a centimetre or a centimetre of its dimensions. Obviously one of the dimensions you've got to be really careful of is the width, because of your racks. It's got to fit between them. So looking at this, definitely you could probably get something maybe a couple of centimetres wider. Definitely mounting it here, it's quite good. It doesn't interfere with your back, and your backpack sits just straight on there. On the back here you still get to see the cool little Italian logo, which I like. Just kind of scallops in there nicely with this. And when you've got your top box mounted, you've still got some room in here to strap something in. I often take off my my jacket, put it in there, and wear a summer jacket so I can carry both. But the thing is about these is, how did I mount it? Well, basically 3mm wire, you've got to have a special cutting tool to cut through them. They're like special little pliers that will cut through 3mm galvanized wire really quickly. Put in a loop, and just using these little clamps that are 3mm clamps that are sold with the wire quite often in your hardware store. Created a couple of loops, drilled about a 4mm hole in the bottom of the case in each of the corners, took it round, and underneath here, the front one, and there's a convenient little hole right there that threads through on both sides, and basically just using a simple hose clamp, use it to tension it. Now I'll kind of pack it up so you'll see that this is probably could have been better if it was on the side, but that's how secure it is, and you can tighten it up even more if you want. Also, if you want to take it off from your toolkit, little thread, I've also got a nut for that one as well. Just loosen it, take it off, and you can remove it in probably about 5 minutes. Putting it on, because it's a little bit fiddly, takes about 10 minutes. If you're looking at what this black is over the wire, and you can see I've used it here as well, and around here, basically what I used was electrical, I think it's 3mm electrical shrink, and you just put it like over the wire, and then you heat it, and it will then shrink and wrap around the steel wire. For obvious reasons I'm doing that. That's mainly because I don't really want it to scratch as much as I can avoid scratching, even though it's likely to scratch through the paint, but more so if it's exposed. And when it came through the hole, I only shrunk wrapped the very ends, left the rest of it unshrink wrapped, which made it a little bit fatter, so when it comes through that hole it creates a little bit of a better seal. But that was the option I went with, and now that it's kind of strapped there, and yeah, you can get it off. Of course you can get it off. You can get some cutters and cut through those and you'll get it off. But I think that's still the most secure option you're going to get. Maybe a better one if you could bolt it from somewhere underneath, but there's nowhere on this that allows you to do that. And if you're not familiar with the Desert X, when you take off the back seat, there is this whole, can't really see it, steel rack system in there, which is just sitting on. And yeah, it's a really good solution. I think, what did it cost me? $30? I think I got it on sale for something like $24. I think it actually retailed at $40, but yeah, it got down to $25. And the Pelican case, from memory, was about 180 New Zealand dollars. So, you know, 3 times the cost pretty much, 4 times the cost. And I have had no issues with waterproofing on this whatsoever. It stays dry, clamps down pretty good, and takes quite a beefy lock through there to lock it. And I'm reasonably comfortable even leaving this and this for a couple of hours on the street, and know that, you know, it's the better option to secure my gear. So this is how I pack it. Just put the rock straps in there, put the torque wrench going across the bottom, lube chain sitting there, tool bag pretty much sits top like that. This is the good thing about these cases. They're quite high, and there's a bit of height in the width of the top. You got to compress it down a bit, but probably got something caught in there, but yeah, snaps in, so that's what you can get in that. I think that's brilliant. In summary, I think with the toolbox, it's fantastic, it's cheap, and I think it ideally suits the Ducati X because you can lower or remove the back seat and clamp it here. Unless you've got a split seat, this ain't going to be the great option for you if you want to maintain a rack, obviously, and put a top box, which I do. I guess the other options are you could permanently mount that to your rack if you're not using a top box. Definitely a viable option. But I think, you know, if you don't get the flexibility of being able to mount like this, then really that dry bag that's maybe got you know, sort of you know, backpack type sort of capabilities to throw it on your back is a very good option. I mean, I think and actually when I say it's got the back pad option, I mean to carry it away from the bike, not to carry it on the bike. I think the worst option for you is to put your tools in your backpack and carry it and ride it. If necessary, you've got nothing else, just take the backpack off and strap it to your bike or something. Ride safe. Hope you found this useful, and till the next video. Good morning. Every time I start my bike these days, I put my earmuffs on because I reckon the alarm's going to go off. Obviously I haven't perfected the technique. I've got the seat off at the moment just because I'm doing something with it. But yeah, make sure I push the right button. I think the alarm is on. Now it's going to be this one. Yay! It worked. Maybe I don't need my earmuffs on anymore. Just double check it. This is why it gets me. Or maybe I can't put it on while it's bike's on. First time it's worked.